In Washington, we've got a big meeting that could set the course of politics in the next days and weeks. Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy will meet with President Joe Biden today, and that is as we're learning more about the FBI's searches seeking classified documents in President Biden's possession, or at least in places he used to inhabit. Allison Harris starts us off this morning with a look at both of those Biden-centric storylines. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning, Mitch. We're waking up with another drip in the consistent leaking of information related to classified documents in President Biden's possession. This time, it's news that the FBI assessment that the White House counsel previously referred to was actually reportedly a search that the FBI did of the president's private office back in mid-November, around the time of the midterm elections. That search reportedly happening after the president's personal lawyers found a small number of sensitive files in a closet at the Penn Biden Center. The White House, when asked whether the FBI found additional materials, referred those questions to the Justice Department. That's nothing new, as the White House has been doing. We know that those materials date back to the president's time as vice president during the Obama administration. The White House has repeatedly said that the president takes this seriously and has drawn comparison with the former president, President Trump, and his documents, specifically over FBI involvement, that the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago and that did not happen with the president because of his consent and cooperation. But here we're learning a little bit this morning about the FBI involvement. Again, there's reportedly no search warrant involved. And I think it's worth noting, Mitch, we wouldn't be standing here talking about this today if the White House had been more specific in clarifying exactly what they meant by that FBI assessment before. Now we're talking about it because we learned it was an FBI search.
Yeah, it's like we don't even know what we don't know. Here's something we do know, though. There is a big meeting at the White House today. You've got Speaker McCarthy going to the White House to meet with the president. What are we expecting them to talk about? What's going to come out of that?
Mitch, this is McCarthy entering the lion's den here. He has been really anticipating this meeting since the president unintentionally did not mention McCarthy when naming bipartisan leaders at the top of President Biden's inaugural address. The two, very much at odds over the past 2 years, must now bring their parties together to avoid what the Treasury Secretary has promised would be economic catastrophe of the U.S. defaulting on its credit. Republicans say that they will not raise the debt ceiling unless Democrats agree to cut spending. President Biden says he is not going to negotiate, period, saying that the Republicans are being irresponsible. This standoff could weaken the nation's good credit rating. The president telling reporters that this is his message to McCarthy.
Will you negotiate with McCarthy?
Show me his budget. Show me his budget.
The reason the president is saying that is because Republicans still have not said exactly which programs they would cut. White House aides say that the president will also ask McCarthy to commit to actually raising the debt ceiling. Democrats have latched onto the idea that Republicans would cut popular social programs like Social Security and Medicare. The president suggesting Tuesday that the cuts are part of the backroom dealings that McCarthy made in those tense moments we all watched unfold on C-SPAN live television, finally to be able to get the votes to become speaker. In the past week, you've heard Republican leaders say they're not going to cut Social Security and Medicare, but that everything else is on the table, including even defense spending. Mitch?
That is interesting. Entitlements off the table, but defense spending on it. Allison, thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation in your cable lineup. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-based, unbiased coverage.